has feelings, feelings every day. And it's alright to have feelings, feelings every which way. 'Cause feelings make us people, people who can say, I'm a very special person and I'm feeling this way today. For there are happy times and sad times, silly and hairy, scary times, mean and need to scream times. How do you feel right now? For there are lonely times and friendly times, gay and let's go play times, frown and feeling down times. How do you feel right now? For there are serious times and furious times, jealous and even envious times, glad I'm so mad times. How do you feel right now? Everybody has feelings, feelings every day. And it's alright to have feelings, feelings every which way. 'Cause feelings make us people, people who can say, I'm a very special person and I'm feeling this way today.
Jennifer, give it back. Give it back. Give it back, Jennifer.
You make me very angry. You're playing very mean. I want to throw the ball with you. It makes me want to scream. I feel like pushing and hurting the people that I see. I wish I knew how to make them as angry as they make me.
So what do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside? What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Brian, stop it. You've got other things to do. Go play with Jennifer. Brian! Cut it out. Go away. Rat, leave me alone. Mommy!
You always run to Mommy. She only sides with you. It makes me feel so angry. I don't know what to do.
But what do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Look at me. No TV tonight. Is that clear?
What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Hey, let's go over. Okay. But I won. Why did you stop that much? No, I think we're going to be racing. Okay, you ready? You cheated!
You cheated in the running. That isn't being fair. You think that you're the winner. Boy, I don't even care.
But what do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Say, what do you know? That was a cinch. Boy, do I do now, Presley? If you don't mind a little suggestion, senor.
What are you doing? I got it first. I got it first. And I got it second.
I told him you'd be angry. And he said...
Just wait till I get bigger. You won't push me around. But right now I'm so mad at you, I'll knock this door right down.
What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside? What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Hey, you're making a mess. You dripped water on my clay. Hey, that's my clay.
You smashed what I was making. You don't watch what you do. You messed it up on purpose, and now I'm mad at you.
What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Teacher!
Stacy, what happened?
Jeffrey took one of the tools to make designs on his clay, and he smushed my clay up.
How did you show Jeffrey the way that you feel?
I hit him and I looked at mad.
But what is another way that you could show him felt?
Tell him.
That's right. That's really good thinking.
What do you do with anger you can't hide? What do you do on the outside?
Hello, everybody. I'm Skip Elsheimer. Welcome to the AV Geeks Lunchtime Streaming Show. That was I'm Mad at You. And I didn't realize that I had two... I had I'm Mad at Me, and I had I'm Mad at You. I didn't realize that they were two separate films, because I just didn't look closely in my database. But this is part of that Feelings series, which has music, has songs. And so we are gathering candidates for, it's going to turn out to be next week that we're going to do the tournament, the AV Geeks toe tapping tournament, so that we can eventually compete against Found Footage Festival. We have over 30 candidates right now, some that you suggested and some that were in my database and some my wife suggested. And so we are going to have our tournament next week, probably Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so I wanted to show that because supposedly today's date has some sort of significance, which I really don't understand. So I looked it up, and this is what it said. In 1971, 5 high school students in San Rafael, California, used the term 420 in connection with a plan to search for abandoned cannabis crop, based on a treasure map made by the grower. Calling themselves the Waldos because their typical hangout spot was a wall outside the school, the 5 students designated the Louis Pasteur statue on the grounds of the San Rafael High School as their meeting place, and 420 p.m. as their meeting time. I guess that's like after school gets out. The Waldos referred to this plan with the phrase 420 Louis. After several failed attempts to find the crop, the group eventually just shortened the phrase to 420, which ultimately evolved into a code word the teens used to refer to consuming cannabis. Stephen Hager of High Times popularized the story of the Waldos. In the first High Times that mentioned 420 smoking and 420 holiday appeared in May 1991, and the connection to the Waldos appeared in December 1998. Hager attributed the early spread of the phrase to Grateful Dead followers. After Waldos, one of the Waldos from the original high school, Dave Reddix, became a roadie for the Grateful Dead bassist Phil Lesh, and called for 420 to be socially accepted time of day to consume cannabis. So, there you go. Bunch of high school students. See, and that's the thing, is you can tell high school students how they can change the world by looking for drugs. So, in honor of that, I decided to pull some films about marijuana that I haven't shown, and I'll probably will end up showing the one film about marijuana that I have shown, Marijuana, featuring Sonny Bono. Now, that's a longer film, so we're just going to go ahead and jump into it. This is Keep Off the Grass, but this is a Canadian version. And the dad in this might look familiar. He's in Goldfinger. It's Cease Linder. Yeah, Cease Linder, you know. Maybe you'll recognize him and figure out what character he played. So here's Keep Off the Grass, the Canadian version.
Listen, you wouldn't believe how good that stuff was. You can ask Joey, who's with me. Not even half a joint, and boy, was I flying.
Like Cloud 9. I only wish I'd known it was going around. You had it anyway. Where'd it come from?
Bonnie got it somewhere. I don't know where she got it.
She got any more?
She's supposed to meet us here. And she should be here by now, too. I hope nothing's wrong. Hey, Bonnie, back here.
Hi, Barney.
Nothing but gloom and doom, friends. The outlook is dim and dreary.
Sit down.
Where have you been?
You're starting to worry.
Something go wrong? Everything. Well, come on, tell us what happened.
If you couldn't get any, don't worry about it.
Oh, I got it all right. Yes, indeed. That's not my problem. As a matter of fact, if I hadn't got it, there wouldn't be any problem. You got it on you? Would you believe my mother found it? Your mother?
Well, if she's anything like my mother, she won't know what it is.
But you don't happen to have a brother who's the world's biggest thing. Mom thought she'd found some homemade cigarettes till he opened his big mouth. How did she find them? Oh, I forgot to take them out of my coat pocket, that's how. Boy, how dumb can you get? But why does she usually go through your pocket? That's just it, she never does. But this morning she was sending a bunch of stuff to the cleaners with Jim. And guess what needed cleaning? Your raincoat, Natch. Oh, you weren't kidding when you said gloom and doom.
This all happened this morning?
Well, I was peacefully sleeping. Let me tell you, I sure woke up in a hurry when I saw what Mom had in her hand.
Bonnie, what do you think you're doing carrying marijuana around in your pocket?
What are you talking about?
You know what I'm talking about. These were in your coat pocket and Jim says they're marijuana.
Jim says? What the... Wait a minute, will you give me a chance to get my eyes open?
It's no wonder you can't open your eyes. What do you expect, doping yourself up with this rotten stuff?
Oh, for Pete's sake, you don't even know what you're talking about. What do you know about pot?
Pot? Is that what you call it? You listen to me, young lady. Until this morning, I thought marijuana was something to read about in the newspapers, not find in my own home. Now, you wash your face. Come downstairs as fast as you can. Your father wants to talk to you.
How do kids get hold of this stuff anyway? There certainly wasn't any of it around when I was in high school.
Yeah, but there's a lot of it around now, especially around high schools.
What's wrong with the police? Isn't it against the law?
Oh, sure it is, Dad.
But it's just like a lot of other things. The police grab one person for selling marijuana, the next day 2 others are selling it. There just aren't enough police to go around.
Since when does Bonnie need the police to tell her what's right and what's wrong? Both of you were raised better.
It really isn't that Bonnie doesn't know better, Mom. Maybe the kids she hangs around with smoke pot, so she thinks she has to try it.
Well, then maybe she better hang around with some other kids. I just can't believe that Meg's that kind of a girl. Her mother's one of my best friends.
Do you suppose that Meg's mother thinks for a minute that our Bonnie smokes marijuana?
Well, I better get going. I've got to drop that stuff off the cleaners on my way to Harry's.
What's the rush to get to Harry's?
Nothing in particular. I told him I'd help him with his car this morning.
You think they give up on that bucket of bolts Harry calls a car? They spent a fortune on that thing.
Well, better that than this. I wish I'd never asked Jim what they were.
Thanks a lot, Big Mouth.
Look, if you're going to carry around a pocket full of grass, don't blame me if you get caught.
But you had to tell Mom what it was, though, didn't you?
So she asked me, what was I supposed to say?
If you didn't have to be such a big hero, Mom would have thought they were just ordinary cigarettes.
Oh, you've got to be kidding. Mom's been smoking cigarettes for years. Do you think she's not going to recognize marijuana when she sees it?
Not in a million years, unless somebody told her.
Okay, so I told her. Maybe I don't like the idea of you smoking pot any more than she does.
There's a clean glass right here on the table, Bonnie.
You'd think that creep upstairs never stepped out of line in his whole life.
Well, we've never found marijuana in any of his pockets, Bonnie.
Does that mean it wasn't ever there, just because you didn't find it? Oh, I'm not saying he ever had any. How would I know? But I'll tell you something I do know. Just a few weeks ago, when Jim came home, bombed right out of his mind, I was awake. I heard you trying to get him upstairs. He could hardly walk, for crying out loud.
What's that got to do with this?
Well, all I'd like to know is how come he can get smashed. But when it comes to somebody finding sticks of grass in my pocket, the whole family has to push the panic button.
Somebody didn't find them, Bonnie. I did, and I pushed the panic button. Why wouldn't I?
Look, has either one of you ever tried marijuana?
No.
Of course not.
Well, just because you don't know anything about it, automatically it's got to be worse than drinking.
Just hold it a minute, Bonnie. Now you sit down. I think you're way out in left field somewhere. Look, I don't know anything about going over Niagara Falls in a barrel either. I know I'm not about to try it. Now, if you had told me that you heard Jim coming home that night, I'd have told you that Jim and I had a long talk about drinking. Your mother and I don't happen to think that getting drunk is any better than smoking marijuana.
Getting drunk, maybe. But what about having a drink, or two, or guzzling a few beers? That's okay, isn't it?
Not for you, it isn't. If your mother and I enjoy a drink or two before dinner, that's one of the choices left to us because we're old enough to decide for ourselves.
And Jim's 21 now, so that makes him the same as you, right?
That's right. Legally, anyway. But Jim's choices are still restricted by our decisions to an extent, too. He's expected to respect your mother's and my wishes just the same as you are.
Looks like I'm the only one around here without any rights at all.
Depends on what you mean by rights, Bonnie.
You know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean. You have your own room. You're free to invite your friends home whenever you feel like it. You come and go with as much freedom as any other girl your age. Now, you have your rights and we respect them, but you do not have the right to have marijuana, let alone bring it home here, and you know it.
One of these days they're going to change the stupid law, and it'll be just as legal to have grass in your pocket as it is to have beer in the refrigerator.
Not for you, it won't. Legally, you still won't be old enough to have beer in your refrigerator, even if you had one. Bonnie, has it hit you yet that your mother and Jim and I are breaking the law right now just by having this in the house?
Nobody knows it's here.
Does that make it any less illegal? You're not guilty until you're caught, is that it? You know better than that.
You better get that stuff out of here right away, Bonnie.
But it's not mine. Not all of it, anyways.
Oh, whose is it?
Some of the kids gave me some money to pay for it. If I can't deliver the grass, and I can't return their money, what am I going to tell them?
Tell them the truth. You got caught. And you can also tell them they'll have to find somebody else to buy their grass for them from now on.
Don't put it in there, Bonnie. I don't want it to be anywhere I can see it.
What do you want me to do with it?
Flush it down the toilet. That's where it belongs.
You mean you really flushed the stuff down the toilet? Well, sure. What else was I going to do? But why? Did your mother watch you while you did it? Of course not. She wasn't even upstairs. But they wouldn't even have known. You could have got it out of the house easy enough.
What a waste of perfectly good grass.
Well, at least I can pay you your money back. Dad loaned it to me. He's going to take it out of my allowance.
You must be kidding. Why should you have to pay the whole shot?
Because I can't deliver the grass, that's why.
So that's the way it bounces, right?
Sure, it could have happened to anyone, Bonnie. Yeah, but I know Bonnie's father. And when he says you pay back the money, you pay back the money. Right, Bonnie? You'd better go.
Hey, I've got an idea. Why don't we use the money to buy some more grass?
Wow, such great music. C. Slinder, I think that's how I'm saying his name. So basically, he was in a bunch of great stuff. He was Felix Leiter in Goldfinger. He was in Lolita. He's in a film that I have called Man on the Assembly Line, which is about a guy who goes kind of crazy. He was in Quatermass in the Pit, the TV series, and on BBC. Yeah, just a bunch of great stuff. He's kind of this great character actor. And he shows up occasionally in other educational films that I have. So, pretty awesome. C. Slinder. All right, we got some more drug films to show you. This is Marijuana Great Escape. And this has some glitchiness to it, digital glitchiness, because it's sourced from a DV tape when I was transferring directly to DV tapes. So here's Marijuana Great Escape.
I think Tony is right. I'd really be afraid to try it.
Officer, is the girl dead?
George Willis is one of the very few teenage drivers in AA fuel competition. He's won quite a few at the Strip, and he's getting better.
Could I have the handle, or do you expect me to turn it with my finger?
Drag racing and Pat Allen are the two most important things in George's life.
Thank you.
How's it going, George?
Well, with all this fantastic help, I expect to be done at noon in about a week.
Tell me again, George, how you going to win the National? Huh?
We're gonna blow them off, man. Those other shoes won't even know what hit them. When the lights come down, it's gonna be to the floor and way off. And Big Bad Willis is gonna do it again.
To what do you attribute your success, Mr. Big Bad Willis?
Well, I think it's a matter of practice.
Well, I think it's a matter of practice.
Well, I think it's a matter of practice.
Well, I think it's a matter of practice. Well, I think it's a matter of practice.
Split-second timing, fantastic reflexes, a keen eye, and a cool head.
Is that all?
Pretty foxy mechanic. Hey, it's Tony Nancy.
Hi, George.
Hi there.
Hi, Pat.
Hi, Tony.
How's everything going?
Pretty good.
How's the digger coming?
Out of sight, shaping up.
Say, that idea about the cam was good. How about trying it this Sunday?
Sure, fine.
What else you been doing this little flower?
Well, I changed it from a 3.9 to a 4.10, and I moved my controls in so I can, grab them quicker. And I changed the brake from a pull-operated to a push-operated. I think that'll be a lot easier.
As captain of the United States drag racing team, Tony Nancy has toured all over the world, taking on all challengers. Typical of the kind of guy that's really into drag racing, Tony unselfishly shares his years of experience and technical knowledge, especially with George, who has proven his ability as a driver and won enough prize money to build his own dragster.
Well, you're coming right along.
The big thing in the air is the upcoming Winter Nationals. George will be driving a sponsored AA fueler and could win more than enough to finish his own machine.
Yeah, it looks like magnesium that you've made that whole thing out of. Oh, that'd be nice and light and strong. Question you. Can I count on you being out at the strip Sunday?
Sure, certainly.
George, 'tis I, True Friendship calling.
Hey, how you doing, man?
Max Anderson is a different sort of guy. He doesn't have many friends his own age. He seems to feel more secure with people several years younger than himself. He buys and sells marijuana. Max doesn't understand the kind of hard work and concentration George has put into building his dragster. But then he doesn't understand what it means to have a commitment to something. Hotheads seem to have one thing in common: the belief that work and serious thought are a drag.
I was wondering if you could lay a couple numbers on me.
Oh, it's been kind of low lately. I don't know.
I'll have to check with the man.
Until recently, George has smoked marijuana only occasionally, just to be sociable.
Drop by later.
But for some reason, he's starting to buy, and that's a whole new scene.
You were really blowing smoke, man. That was an out-of-sight run.
Yeah, it felt pretty good all the way. I think we're on the right track here. Incidentally, I didn't want to say anything yesterday with Pat there, but I hear you've been blowing smoke too.
What do you mean?
I mean like grass.
Who told you this?
I don't get uptight. I'm just telling you that I don't want to know anything about it, one way or the other. Only alcohol, pills, dope, none of that stuff makes it, pal. You don't need it here. This is no toy. It's got 1,500 horsepower, puts out 8,000 RPM. You've seen it, George. You've seen guys blow up just for one goofy mistake. We don't need any fuzzy-headed guys who feel beautiful inside and end up dead outside. I've seen some of your friends. I wouldn't let them come 5 feet of this car. This is real. You're gonna have to choose.
Man, I really resent that. You think I'm a hope fiend or something. I don't go around having withdrawals or go out of my head and kill people. Man, that's somebody else's trip.
George is gradually assuming the role of a regular user. He feels he can handle marijuana and resents being challenged.
It's not as bad as booze. The same people who are giving out the lectures are going home and they start belting down martinis. Or they take a pill to put themselves to sleep and a pill to diet on. Everyone's entitled to their own trip.
The choice is not really between alcohol, pills, or marijuana. The choice is whether or not you want to be dependent on any of them. Most people stay away from drugs of any kind for fear of the unknown. With marijuana, a hallucinogen, there is good reason for fear.
Not everybody, George. I think Tony is right. I'd really be afraid to try it.
Winner is George Willis. Turned in a 667, 215.82 miles per hour in this afternoon's final elimination round for Double A dealers here at the beach. This makes it 3 in a row for Willis, an 18-year-old rookie driver from Redondo Beach, California. He picks up $500 in prize money for the #1 bracket and qualifies for tomorrow's annual Far West Championships. Be sure to be on hand. Tomorrow at 1:30, the action begins.
If anybody can drive, George can drive. The guy's unbelievable shot. Yeah, he's fantastic. Out of... Hey, George! Give me 5. Maybe you're all right. Hey, George! Phone call. Phone? Something else. I got to take a phone call. Be very cool.
George? Max. Hey, appears I'm going to need a little help from my friend. Oh, I got busted. Yeah. Some yahoo left a roach in the back of the bus, and they busted all of us.
I'm calling to notify you we have your son Robert in custody for possession of marijuana. No, ma'am, there's no mistake. He was picked up along with 3 other people.
In communities throughout the nation, marijuana has become a major problem. It has been the cause for many police records on otherwise law-abiding young people.
Do you think there's any possibility of your bailing me out of here?
Well, man, you're lucky, because I won $500 today. Top eliminator.
That's great. Let's celebrate. As soon as you get me out of here, let's go to my place and we'll have a party.
Okay, out of sight. Hey, listen, where are you right now?
Inglewood Police Department.
I'm gonna go see a bail bondsman, and I'll be right down. We'll have you out in no time.
Hey, groovy. Thank you. Come on. It sounds like I got some people here. Well, at least I know some of them. Go on in, make yourself at home, and I'll be right with you.
George, I don't know.
Now, Pat, we've got to get together on this. We're celebrating, remember?
Yeah, but...
You can't possibly know anything about it unless you try it. Pisces, you know, water people. We're kind of special. Oh, here, let me lay a number on you. You have a roach clip? Yeah, here you go.
Now we'll sit down here and do ourselves a number. Now, the objective is to get all that smoke into your lungs and as much as you can and hold it just for as long as you can.
George, I really don't want to.
Now, come on. It won't hurt to try. Take it.
You can never tell if marijuana will hurt you. It is inconsistent and unpredictable.
Take it all the way
Some
down.
grass may be weak
Take another
and some very strong, and each person will react differently to the same batch.
Nah, you'll get better.
What's the effect on it?
Well, just take a few more totes off this and you can find out. Keep going. Oh, come on.
Most pot smokers feel compelled to turn others on and will exert pressure on their closest friends. Anyone who does not share his fascination of getting stoned is an outsider.
That isn't that bad. Just take the joint and get it all into your lungs.
Marijuana's immediate grip is on the central nervous system. The stronger the grass, the greater the distortion of perception and judgment. Depending on the personality and mood of the user, illusions or hallucinations may occur. sights and sounds are exaggerated. Associations may be disorganized, and time and space relationships are lost. You may have a feeling of well-being, or just the opposite, great anxiety. You are not yourself. You are not in control.
You go Hawaii next summer?
Yeah. The whole summer.
At a critical time when young people must make decisions that will shape their future, the people who become dependent upon marijuana are dependent on an escape that makes the unreal seem beautiful and the reality of life seem unnecessary.
No. Pat, wake up. Come on, Pat. It's no time to crash. We're gonna get some munchies. Come on. Well, let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Look, George, Pat's still pretty drowsy. She can come with me and lie down in the back of the bus.
Hunger and thirst are common side effects to smoking pot, and frequently the users will drive a car before his reflexes have returned to normal.
George, stop, I forgot my purse.
Despite a drastic loss of judgment, the user has a false sense of self-confidence. The driver's awareness and perception are altered, particularly as they relate to time and space. He may be traveling at a comfortable 20 miles an hour and feel no need to slow down to turn a sharp corner. He may become hung up on a visual experience or a physical activity totally unrelated to driving.
Hey, chick, hurry up! If anybody's holding, start eating it right now. Wow, Flash, I thought we were busted.
Officer, is the girl dead?
No, little girl, but you better step back on the curb.
Right, see if anything was coming to pull out. And then, before I had a chance even to move off, he came around extreme speed and he hit me, and that pushed my car over this way a bit.
Just a minute here. How far down the street did you notice him?
Well, I don't really know. I mean, I sort of was stopped, and as I sort of looked one way, and then I went to look the other, by the time I looked back, he was on me. I mean, he just came roaring around here, and I think he had to be drunk or something, because he had to have seen me sitting here, officer. I mean, I just pulled out the driveway up the street and just drove down.
We've got to get together on this. We're celebrating, remember? We've got to. Yeah, but you can't possibly know anything about it unless you try it.
I wouldn't let him come 5 feet of this car. This is real.
Take it down in deeper.
You're going to have to choose.
What's the effect on it?
Take it. Well, just won't hurt too much. A few more totes off this. Find out. Come on, just. Now hold it in. We're celebrating. Take it all the way down. Just try.
This is real. You're going to have to choose. Real. This is real. You're going to have to choose. This is real. You're going to have to choose.
Every day, people who are really good at something, music, art, sports, or drag racing, people who have a great deal to live for, have to make decisions about that which they love most. As for decisions regarding marijuana, there's no mystery about it, no beauty, no great inner revelation. It's a simple distortion, a great escape.
Pre-qualified from Saturday night at Lions with a 667. The record of the car so far is 222 miles per hour.
And to what do you attribute your success, Mr. Big Bad Willis?
Split-second timing, fantastic reflexes, a keen eye, and a cool head.
Is that all?
So nice. I need to find a better copy of that. That one had some emulsion scratches, and then obviously that digital copy had some issues. It's so good. It has everything that a Sid Davis film would want, but with synced dialogue. And it was in Inglewood, which is Sid Davis's haunting ground. All right, so I asked people what they wanted to see, and so Sonny Bono's Marijuana, we've shown it before. It's always a great film to show. And so here it is. It's in its entirety. I should say we're probably going to run a little late because this film is 30 minutes long. But if you like what you saw, please consider buying AV Geeks their drug of choice, which is coffee, which is right here. You can also hit like, subscribe. There's a notification bell, I guess you can ring. I don't know. Something podcasters talk about. And you can also go to avgeeks.com and see other things that we've digitized. You can also buy DVDs of stuff. So Sonny Bono, the theory is that he had to do some sort of community service thing. So this is what this is about. I don't know that for sure. I just guessed because it has that feel. And the thing is, like, he was kind of an actor. He wasn't necessarily the best actor, but his take on this is really just is the flattest, and it seems like he's super high. Although it doesn't matter because his gold lame suit is just awesome. So here is Marijuana by Avanti Films, and it starts with it's very splicey, and I have multiple copies of this film, but every single film is splicey. It's got problems at the beginning. So whoever's been running these films just shredded them at the beginning. So here it is. It's basically cops are raiding a pot party, and we get to hear the people being drugged into the paddy wagon, and they're asking questions or they're making statements that Sonny Bono is trying to address. So here's Marijuana. Enjoy.
Inside, everybody. Come on, sit down. Everybody remain seated where you are.
Hey, man, are you putting me on?
Yeah.
Okay, then why isn't alcohol made illegal? Flowers and grass. Like juice freaks get hangers and cirrhosis in the liver. Besides, grass doesn't have it for me like alcohol. Besides, that cigarette's much worse. Right, man. As much as you want.
And quit it. Have a party. There's nothing wrong with grass. Yeah. 1,000 times. You'll never go to harder drugs.
Don't take any films of me. You're not going to use them anyway.
Well, speak your mind, then.
Okay, I will. No one has the right to tell me what I can do with my own body, what I can eat, drink, or smoke. This is a free country, and no one has the right to take away my constitutional rights.
I didn't do anything. I didn't do anything.
Terrible that the American people have accepted a law that makes smoking a harmless weed illegal. Marijuana's legal all over the world. There's no question about it. Marijuana should be made legal. Now! Now! Make marijuana legal! Make marijuana legal! Make marijuana legal!
I'm an adult anyway. What's the matter? I'm feeling good. Make marijuana legal. Make marijuana legal.
Good, bad, right, wrong. That's not where it's at in this film. Right, wrong, good, bad. Those are things for you to decide. Too many people have already decided for themselves, and you, whether grass is good or bad. What's most important is what you think. So without any preaching from this film, let's examine the facts and only the facts. There are too many false impressions and prejudices to do it any other way.
Okay, then why isn't alcohol made illegal? It's allowed. Like take juice freaks, man, they get hangovers and cirrhosis of the liver. Besides, grass isn't habit forming like alcohol.
Right. The facts are, if you drink enough, alcohol will give you hangovers, cirrhosis of the liver, and what's more, it can even kill you. If you are a certain emotional and psychological type, you may become dependent both physically and emotionally and will join the 5 to 6 million known alcoholics in the United States. Now, what are the facts about marijuana? What do doctors and psychiatrists have to say about which is worse for you physically and emotionally, alcohol or marijuana? The facts are, at this time, there are no known damaging physical effects from the use of marijuana. But, unlike alcohol, when you take too much at one time, you don't pass out. You more than likely run the risk of an unpredictable and unpleasant bummer. The occasional drink before dinner by adults, like the occasional use of marijuana, does not necessarily lead to an emotional dependency in the stable, mature personality.
Sure, go ahead.
Great olive, yeah.
You like that, I'm glad.
Got good olives. Well, that's smart.
However, teenage is not a time of great maturity and stability for most teenagers. The pressures of school, parents, finding your own identity and self-confidence sets you up for a drug dependency that could just as well be alcohol if you preferred that to grass. Some adults are not mature or strong enough to stand the pressures of their daily lives. These adults can become just as emotionally dependent on marijuana as on alcohol, whichever is more socially acceptable and easier to get. Even when the alcoholic is physically withdrawn from his body's need for alcohol, he always goes back to it until he learns how to handle his problems. Just as the alcohol drinker who finds himself needing a drink more and more frequently is the warning sign of his dependency, so it is with the pothead. The more he needs the escape from reality or the pleasure of marijuana, the more he is becoming emotionally dependent, exactly as the square and unhip alcoholic adult does. Do two wrongs ever make one right?
Cigarettes are much worse than pot. Man, don't worry, I got cancer, man.
That's right. It's a fact. No one ever got cancer from pot. But it's also a fact that no one ever dropped out of school because they were hung up on tobacco. And no one who just finished smoking a cigarette ever forgot she was driving a car as she tripped out on the beauty of a back road nature trip. And no cigarette pusher ever tried to turn you on to hard drugs or the needle. Another basic difference is that you can smoke cigarettes and do other things. You wouldn't dare to do this on pot. Or this. Or this. And would you rather your pilot had just finished a joint, not a cigarette? Or your surgeon operating on your heart, your attorney pleading your case, your sergeant, your dentist, your flight leader, your team center, your LSO, your school bus driver, your country's astronauts, or even the guy who is just changing your front tire. Would you rather he was smoking a cigarette or a joint? However, neither your government nor any responsible person recommends smoking. So, 2 or 3 wrongs don't make one right either.
Everybody knows that weed is addictive. You can blow as much as you want.
No, I'm hip. And quit any time you want.
Blow as much grass as you like, and your body won't need it? Right. You can quit any time you like? Not true for everybody. And that's the problem. The World Health Organization of the United Nations, with its leading medical and psychiatric experts from over 100 member nations, has this to say about marijuana being habit-forming without one dissenting vote. That may be true for the great majority who smoke pot, but it's not true for the many thousands who have gone on to acid, amphetamines, barbiturates, and end up on heroin. However, it is not a fact that practically everyone on grass turns into a flaky drug addict. That's just not true. Every informed person knows this. What is true may be discovered in this Narcotics Rehabilitation Center in some of the group therapy sessions, where we will learn what former drug addicts have to say about marijuana turning them onto hard drugs.
How many of you started on pot before you started heroin?
I did. I did too. I did too. I did. So did I. I did. I did. Me too. Me too. I did. I did. So did I. I did.
I did. That means all of you have used marijuana then?
Yeah. I was 11 when I first started using it.
I was about 19.
I think it's kind of hard to deal marijuana because it's so bulky, you know, and you have to go through the trouble of chopping it up and cleaning it. I think it's much easier to deal heroin, you know, than marijuana.
Really, because, you know, all that bulk and everything, it's much easier just to have a small bag of balloon that you can carry, and then you can cut that up and get a lot more money for it.
You know, and all the trouble you have to go through with it, you know, like cutting it up, especially if you get a kilo, you know, you have to cut it up, then you have to clean it, you know, and then you have to roll it and box it, you know, and can it, you know, it's just a really big hassle behind it, you know.
That's why I think the dealers go on to dealing heroin and then get us to buying heroin.
I think if you smoke marijuana or take pills or get loaded in any way at all, that you will be accepted into the dope world and eventually you will have contact with this environment.
I definitely think that if you get loaded on marijuana, you are subjected to the environment and it does become readily available to you. That's the way it is, man. You know, when you're around a crowd and you're all smoking weed and then they start using some other drug and you go right ahead along with them and you end up using it and get higher. And then the weed isn't good enough anymore. And then you turn on to heroin too.
Most of you started smoking marijuana when you were introduced to narcotics.
I did. I started smoking weed.
Did
Not me. For me it was, but I wanted a different high, you know. And weed wasn't good enough, and I heard that heroin and stimulants, crystals, were a better high. And that's why I went to them, you know.
Yeah, I'm the same way, man. I guess a lot of people started that way. Speaking for myself, I did.
I started on weed and got burned out, and I needed something stronger, so I went to heroin.
Well, I started smoking weed, you know, because I was running away from something which was myself. And out of all the, I've run through a lot of highs trying to run away from myself: heroin, LSD, methadone. I like marijuana, I just couldn't handle it myself. I was looking for something else.
I myself think really the real reason I started smoking marijuana, man, because usually I was one of the younger dudes from my neighborhood. I wanted to be accepted. I was weak, scared, and from this it led to heroin, and it's just been an endless time going to jail back and forth, man. I don't like it, and I hope nobody else will use this, not because of the fact that it's bad itself, but what it leads to, man. This is the way I feel.
Well, I can only speak for myself, but I imagine some of the other dudes in here feel the same way I do about it, that some people are addictive prone to it. I mean, like myself, I can't handle it. Because, I mean, this is just the way I am. I use it for an escape. I did it before I came in here. I hope when I go out that I've changed, in which I feel that I have. But I'm a small minority of people that we can't handle anything, you know. Like my alcohol, I can't handle that. I couldn't handle heroin. I mean, weed, because I needed something stronger to escape or anything else like that. And there's more people like me that I feel, you know. And I imagine some of the other dudes in here could go along. You couldn't
handle
liquor either.
No. Yeah, it's a personality thing where there's a lot of people that can go out there and enjoy.
These are the files of the Research and Statistics Office of this Narcotics Rehabilitation Center. It's like out of 100 drawers, 95 of them are filled with file folders of people who have started on marijuana. The rest started on glue, pills, alcohol, and a few on heroin itself. A more accurate percentage is 78% of the inmates started on marijuana. However, what the computer doesn't say is,
there's certain kind of people that'll avoid taking care of business and will turn to grass when they get hung up and forget about everything else they're supposed to do when they're behind grass.
Marijuana doesn't, it's not addictive, but by using it, you don't do the things that you should do. For instance, like in school, you try to do the things that you have to do in school, but your mind is it's not all there. You understand?
Nobody can tell me what to do with my own body, what I can eat, drink, or smoke. This is a free country, and nobody has the right to take away my constitutional rights.
that could be a fact if you were the only one affected by what you do. But the Constitution and the laws that came out of it were designed to protect the individual and the group from irresponsible individuals, which is why there are speeding laws, building safety laws, pure food laws, pure drug laws, laws to protect your money, laws to protect children, laws to protect the aged, and even a law to protect you from taking your own life. Law after law after law, all of them hopefully designed by a democratic government to protect both the individual and the group. From aspirin to the latest vaccines, the manufacture and control of all drugs is government supervised. Would you really want it any other way? Like without government supervision? As a drug, marijuana comes under the supervision of the federal and state governments. It is the assigned work of the police to enforce the law. It is not something they dreamed up on their own. From the 10 Commandments to the Constitution, man has made laws to protect him from hurting himself in the common interest of the group called society. Doctors, psychiatrists, social scientists, chemists, biochemists, basically people who are not primarily concerned with the ethics or morality of the use of marijuana, have provided their expert knowledge to our legislators, which in turn has caused them to pass laws to make marijuana illegal, not as a matter of morality, but as a matter of health, mental health, period.
I think it's terrible that the American people have accepted a law that makes smoking a harmless weed illegal. Marijuana is legal all over the world. There's no question about it. Marijuana should be made legal. Now! Now! Make marijuana legal!
There's no question about it. Many young people agree with that. Let's examine the facts. First, marijuana is not legal all over the world. It isn't legal in Mexico, Egypt, India, Great Britain, China, Japan, or any of the major nations in the civilized world. Nigeria is one of the latest countries to make marijuana illegal. Here, the pusher is given the death penalty. Though each year more and more teenagers commit crimes while up on grass, this is not the major problem. However, grass as a factor in crime must not be overlooked, especially in that percentage of unstable and aggressive types and those who wind up in trouble with the law because of something done while they are high on pot. Too many average and decent teenagers smoke pot without committing crimes, except for the illegality of the sale, possession, or the use of it. So, why not make it legal? Why not bring it out in the open and make it legal in America? It's just that there are too many unstable people in America who would become emotionally dependent on marijuana and end up as non-functioning weed heads. Easy availability and the implied approval of society will, in the opinion of many medical authorities, create a drug dependency problem far more serious than that of the 5 to 6 million alcoholics today. If the acknowledged effect of marijuana is much greater than alcohol, it becomes easy to see why the emotionally unstable and immature may turn to marijuana in even greater numbers than to alcohol, and eventually go to more dangerous drugs in the form of LSD, pills, and heroin.
Who, me?
Who, me?
Who, me?
Who, me? It's possible. Who, me? And that's the problem. You can never tell who is so stable and so emotionally secure that they will not become dependent on marijuana or other drugs for pleasure and full-time escape.
I'm so hell, I'm feeling good.
Nothing, baby. Nothing. Years ago, only the criminal and socially deprived blew grass or used heroin. Today, the nicest people may be on grass. Why is that a fact?
I took it on a dare.
But only kids take dares.
I dare ya. Come on. Jump. Jump. I dare ya. Jump. Come on. Jump. Jump. I dare ya. Jump. Jump. Jump.
Man, everybody blows pot.
But everybody doesn't blow.
I don't want it, man. I don't want it.
Take a hit. No, I don't want it. I don't want it. No. Take a drag. It won't hurt you. Come on. You got
The first sign of character and emotional weakness is when you do things just because others are doing them.
When I'm high, it enhances my creativity.
This is the same subject matter and painter for both paintings. One was painted before going up on weed, and the other while high on weed. Can you see any significant creative difference?
When I'm high, it enhances my creativity.
The artist thinks he's being more creative, but do you see it in his work? To some extent, the very inhibited person may feel a greater freedom to be creative, but this doesn't mean he will have the necessary talent to be so.
The
It really makes me understand myself.
If you don't understand yourself when you're down, then there's no logical or scientifically accepted reason that you will when you're high. Besides, while you're up on grass, you may tell yourself only what you want to know, if you are lucky enough not to be on a bad trip and discover a frightening thing about yourself at that time. Let's face it, the reasons we've heard for blowing grass up to now are like an iceberg. What about the underlying reasons that are like the 90% of the iceberg you never see? The reasons below the surface that makes teenagers get so hung up on marijuana in spite of what their parents say and in spite of the big risk of being busted.
The world stinks. Adults keep making wars. Next war will probably kill everybody on Earth, including me.
Parents are hypocrites. They tell us one thing, but then they do another. Why don't they practice what they preach?
Why are adults so hung up with making money? That's all they think about.
School's a real bummer. Dull teachers, dull subjects. I just can't wait to get out.
Why can't we dress the way we want in school?
Sure, we're old enough to be drafted, but we're not old enough to vote.
Why are they always treating us like children?
Adults never have time to listen to us, and when they do, they just don't do what we're saying.
If adults like to make war so much, why don't they go and fight in them?
I'm better educated than either of my parents, but they don't listen to me.
How can I plan for the future with the draft waiting for me?
Why don't you come back some other time, when everything is all right with us? And in the meantime, I'll do what I want to do here, and you do what you want to do where you live. Dig?
Why shouldn't I smoke grass? Why shouldn't I live now and have all the fun I can? If I don't get killed in the war, or by the big bomb, all I can look forward to is making money like my father, and I know he isn't happy.
You know, sometimes I think it's like a war. Everyone over 30 is the enemy.
Over 30? Over 25.
Obviously, these are things that bug a lot of the young people. But this time, rather than hear from the establishment, who run newspapers, radio, television, book and magazine publishing companies, political parties, and schools, let's hear from those other teenagers who aren't smoking pot.
Not all teenagers are on grass. I'm not, and my close friends aren't.
Every time someone wants to turn me on to pot, they tell me I'll discover myself. Well, I don't need that kind of crutch. Besides, I've never seen any potheads come up with any kinds of answers that help them cope with the kind of problems they have, or I have.
I think the teenagers of today are very idealistic, but we don't have definite ways of showing it. We're not old enough to vote, and older people are always telling us what to do. So you can't blame us too much for fighting back. But I don't think taking drugs is fighting back. The most you can say for it is it's a sign of rebellion. But what we rebel about isn't changed one bit by getting high on marijuana, because when you come back down, nothing's changed.
I think that parents have done the best they can. You can't expect them to know all the answers. Lots of us have had a better education than they have, but that doesn't
find solutions for their problems instead of trying to find new experiences.
I say that teenage is the time to put up or shut up, not to gripe and go on a trip inside yourself. Parents have to go out every day and deal with the things in the outside world that bug them too.
Mike. I know my parents are too hung up on making money and putting on a show for the neighbors, but that doesn't mean I have to put down money completely, because maybe when I get married, I'm going to have money for my family too. I just don't have to be as materialistic about it, that's all.
The world is changing, and some things are still too hard for our parents to understand. But blowing grass, and that's really a cop-out, and it won't help our parents understand a darn thing.
School is like everything else. You only get out of it what you put into it. It's not a party. The way I look at it, I'm here to learn. Even if some of the subjects or the teachers aren't the greatest, I've got the best of it for an education, and everything extra is just gravy.
There really is a communication gap, but I think that if I have a better education and better life than my parents, I should make the first move to make that gap become smaller and smaller.
From what I've read,
and from what I've heard, there are millions of adults over 30 who don't like and are going to war any more than we do. I honestly believe that adults are disappointed in us because it's always been expected of young people to try to change things, to make things better, or at least prepare to change things if we don't like them. Not to cop out on life through grass or other drugs.
No, not for me. I'm more interested in dropping into the world I live in than turning on, tuning in, and dropping out.
I don't like to criticize anybody, but I think that too many teenagers don't have too much purpose. It's like they don't have any goals. I don't mean that they should just be planning to make money and all that, but I think that trying to find something you'll enjoy doing for the rest of your life is the least you can do now, because everybody has to work, even girls before they get married, and even after they do.
I think too many teenagers traded in their idealism for a stick of weed. When I see some teenagers acting superior to those of us who don't need drugs to feel good or understand ourselves, I get real bugged.
Well now, you've heard from both sides of the question. But what you do with your life is up to you. If you become a pothead, you risk blowing the most important time of your life, your teenage. That unrepeatable time for you to grow up and to prepare for being an adult that can handle problems and make something meaningful out of life. Or you have the choice to have the courage to see and deal with the world for what it really is. Far, far from perfect, but for you and for me, the only one there is. While some of you will actually go to the moon and perhaps other planets, this world will be your establishment, and you will be the establishment. And what you do or do your scene. You're the generation with the brain power and the opportunity to do more for the human needs of this world than any other generation in history. Let's hope that your teenage children don't have too much criticism about what you did or didn't do because you were on pot.
Oh yeah, thank you, Sonny. Thanks everybody for tuning in today and watching. And as a reminder, you can buy us coffee, as that is what we tend to abuse here at AV Geeks. Hit like and subscribe, share this with other people, etc. We'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock, and we'll be showing some more films with songs in them. And as I said, we will be doing the tournament next week. So we'll be pulling some more films that I think have good songs that we're going to try to whittle down the 30-plus candidates down to 16 so we can have an actual tournament that you guys can vote on. And ultimately, we are going to whoop Found Footage Festival's butt because we have the most earwormy, catchy songs. So everybody have a good rest of your day. As always, please rewind and love each other, and we will see you again soon. Take care, everyone. Bye.